Congratulations.
Attention. Answer please. Shall I use my Marine voice? Good. All right. I'm going to start off by recognizing all the dignitaries again. That's why I'm not going to do that. We all met them this morning, we recognize them. So we're going to have a few words. First of all, for Sister Joan Cook, who's going to talk about the Sisters of Charity. We've heard about Nadine all day for the Sisters of Charity is an incredible organization. She's going to tell us that first of all. And I'm going to ask her to come out. Sister, if you're ready. Sister Joan Cook, we've asked her to for the Sisters of Charity when all of this started. She is a worthy person to be up there to speak in the name of the Sisters of Charity.
It's a special privilege for me to be asked to welcome all of you and talk a little bit about the Sisters of Charity because Trinidad was my very first teaching assignment. I was at Trinidad Catholic High School in the 60s, and it was the best possible way to begin my life as a teaching sister of charity. So thanks to all of you who are either among those who welcome me, and there are some here, some of my students too, and all those of you who had something to do with making Trinidad such a very special place. I was asked to say a few things about the sisters. So one of the things I'd like to do is let you know that all the Sisters of Charity are with us, either in spirit or watching TV today for this very special occasion. In particular, I'll mention some names that would be familiar to some of you. Sister Rosaline Simpleman was here. In fact, she just left a minute ago. Her sister took her home. It's gotten to be a long day. Rosaline is so thrilled to be here and thrilled to see what her family is accomplishing here. Some of you would remember Sister Ann David, who was from Coatdale, and she's at our mother house and would love to have been able to be here, but it was a little too much for her. Another one of our sisters who would love to have come here was someone who was here more recently. In fact, she was one of the last sisters who was here. Now I'm forgetting her name. Donna Bryant, of course, yes. And several of you would know Donna. She taught at the high school and was deeply loved there. And Donna would like very much to be here, and I'm sure she's watching us on TV as well. Let's see, we could also mention several other people who are important in the history of this area. And that was the daughter of, now I'm a little rat. Yes, the daughter of Mabaka. And there was someone else who was here. There were two sisters. Oh, where's Judy? The Brunellis, that's right. And yes, the Durants, that's right. So some of you would remember them, or else at least the names are familiar because they were so important in the history of Trinidad. Now I'd also like to let you know who the sisters are who traveled here either from Cincinnati or from New Mexico, or those who came just because Trinidad is so special to us. So I'm going to go around the table. I'm going to start with Sister Carol Jean Willie, if you would just raise your hand so they can see. Carol Jean. Carol Jean normally lives in Cincinnati, but she timed a visit just in time so that she could be here for this occasion. And then we have Sister Monica Gundler, who came Monica's visiting from New Orleans. And it was easy for her to come over and then up with the people from the Albuquerque area so that she could be with us. Monica works in New Orleans and invites people who have connections with the sisters and who have a love for the New Orleans area to go and visit for a while and help out with rebuilding after Katrina. And as all of you know from the natural disasters that happen here, natural disasters take years to rebuild from, and Monica is part of that effort. So we're going around the table, and this is terrible. I'm absolutely drawing a blank. Andrea, I'm sorry. Andrea Koperman has come up from Albuquerque as well. This is terrible. I have all these notes written out, and I scribbled them so much I can't read them. In her work in El Paso, Andrea works with people at the border. She is working with school children and doing a marvelous job with people who live on both sides of the border. And Sister Allison, you've all had a chance to meet. Allison lives in Cincinnati, and we all have had a chance to find out what a beautiful cellist she is. And Sister Judy Metz has come from Cincinnati as well, and you've all had a chance to find out what a fantastic historian she is, and we're blessed that she has helped out with our archives over many years, helping all of us appreciate our history. And Veronica Buchanan is what we call an associate. That is, she's connected to our history and connected to our spirit, and she serves as our current archivist. And between herself and Sister Judith, they do a marvelous job helping all of us appreciate who we are and who we have been, because that, of course, has a lot to do with animating us for who we're going to be in the future. These sisters all give good examples of the kind of service that we perform today. We are engaged in teaching, in health care, in social services, in pastoral service, and in the arts. And we're most grateful for the opportunities that we've had, those of us who've had the opportunity to serve here, and all that we've learned from all of you, and what a blessing it is to have these opportunities to serve and to learn from you. As we look towards our future, we continue in the spirit of Sister Blandina that has been presented to us today. We know that her motto was, do whatever presents itself. And she certainly was a good example of doing that. She saw needs that needed to be met, and nothing would stop her from jumping in and serving. And serving in a spirit of reliance on God, nourished by the sacraments, and nourished by the Holy Scriptures. And that was what motivated her in serving all the people that she did serve, and in being a model for each one of us. In closing, I would like to say we all promise our prayers for all of you, for all the ways that you work to serve God and to serve God's people, and to be faithful to what you've all been called for. And we ask you to pray for us as we continue our service as well. Thanks a lot, and let's get back to enjoying this wonderful occasion.
I've had the pleasure of meeting with these ladies the last several days for all my life. My sister was in it. And we took the highway in Legends. Yes, God, anyway, we took the highway in Legends, and I'm very proud of the fact of what I know about history, geology, and between Sister Judith and Sister Veronica and Veronica, they were telling me things that I'd never heard of. So I'm just going to shut my mouth. I also, if you haven't figured it out, these are dynamic women. Don't expect to see Whoopi Goldberg coming in, and Sister Act and say to these poor, naive ladies from a beautiful life lately, it ain't gonna happen. These ladies have her, well, I'm not gonna say. She'd be in retreat, let me put it that way. Next gentleman that's gonna speak is Jay, and I know all of you know Jay. And I've been working with Jay for a number of years. And he's got, what, 19 dealerships now, Jay? 15? Oh, okay, he's only got 15 dealerships. He's got the Mount Carmel Service, Veteran Service Center up in Colorado Springs. If you haven't been there, it's phenomenal. He's got Mount Carmel here. And if you look around Trinidad, all the things that he's done in Trinidad are just incredible. And as successful as it is, he really lacks something. And he has no passion for what he does. Bishop, I just told a lie. So I acknowledge that in public. Thank you, Bishop. Jay, let me tell you, work with Jay, here's the way he works. Joanne told me not to talk fast, but I am a little fast, but I have to tell it because what Jay does is he gets something, Gina, as you well know, and he says, what's the vision? Okay? And you start, and you may pounds or days, weeks, whatever. What is the vision? So once you get the vision, then you align. So everybody knows what the vision is, and you're all working for the vision, all right? And that normally takes place over a period of time, weeks, and there's been one project where that hasn't happened. The garden. From day one, that was your goal. Never stopped. He went further. God bless you.
Thank you, Colonel. I really don't know what you said. Well, listen, thank you so much for being with us. What a fabulous day this is. What a fabulous day. And it's not over. What a fabulous day. It'll be a day that, in my lifetime, probably one of the most important days here. Because it took more than a village, I think, to do what we're doing. It took people with passion, that had the same amount of desire as I have, and put so much effort into it. They were dedicated people, whether, we're talking the nonprofits now. But that's also true with my dealerships. And some of my people, right? Would you guys just please stand up? Really key people at the Philip dealership. Would you please stand up, guys?
Some of them left, Jay.
Anyway, we have some. There you go. Thank you. It is without the people that you just saw, just stood up. We couldn't do anything. We couldn't do Mount Carmel's, or we couldn't do anything. These people have allowed me and our team to really grow and help more people. Because, the cart, when you think about a cart leader, mostly we're not given much credit for helping people, right? No. We're given credit for taking their money. So we're not given credit for helping people. But we took a different attitude. At Philom, we always have said people first. And that means that love and care and trying to serve people and help them. And then in doing so, we were able to get a lot of help. And that's what which brought us to the day we're at. I want to also thank the Bishop Berg, for being here, for being such a wonderful friend and a wonderful bishop. And we hope to have you here more often. This is a very special place, Mount Carmel. Matter of fact, this is what you see and what you're sitting in. The area you're sitting in right now was really just a crawl space at one time. And we renovated the church and brought health and wellness to the community, and later on have a complete and total dental office. And it is here to serve the people. It does a great job. And this space here would never been here without people I'm talking about. And without people in Trinidad who have been so gracious and have met with such great challenges that I do have vision, but that vision doesn't mean much unless something happens, unless you can make things happen. And the people I'm talking about are people that took the vision and have dedicated a lot of their life, a lot of their time to making things happen for us. So, I take a little credit for that, but the most of the credit is given to our people. And I want you to know that how much I respect them, how much I love them, all of our people. On another note, sister, I have a gift for you. Before I do that, let me just say one more thing about the sisters. I grew up, I said this earlier, but I'll say it again. I grew up in this town, thinking this town, knowing this town was a city of champions. I mean, my dad, my mom, my cousins, my friends, my teachers, all of that. We all had an attitude of winning. And winning didn't mean just win for yourself. It means helping other people. And people were able to help you. I've never seen anything like it. How many people would come to us as a 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 13-year-old. People that were not necessarily related to me, would help me because they saw you needed help. And believe me, as a 13-year-old kid, I need a lot of help. No, I'm serious. I need a lot of help. So it really was a city of champions. And when I thought back like 30 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, I thought, how did it become the city of champions? I didn't really know. No one ever, you never think about it. You just think that here's what we got and you take that for granted. And I took that for granted, to city champions, but I found that there were other cities that were not cities of champions. They were not cities that really felt that they were champions. So I wondered, how did this city become that? Because I realized early on that after the Wild West, it took on a soul, a spirit of love and caring and education. And that was all carried by, guess who? The nuns, the Sisters of Charity, and the Jesuits later on. And if it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for the mostly, I believe, led by Sister Gladina, this town would not be the town it is today. So we are blessed. We're very blessed to live, for me, to have been born and raised in this town, and to be able to give back. And it is such a blessing for me to be able to do that. That, I'm just a kid that grew up just down the street. And through my life, I was able to help others, and they were able to help me, and here we are. So, again, I want to thank you all for being here. But before we end, I want the Sister of Charity to step up here. I've got something for you. Brad, where's the
He's coming.
As a token of our appreciation for you, for all the sisters that served here today, bronze plus. Oh, Fred, oh, there, oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Where's Fred? Right there. Fred, why don't you tell me what the plus? Don't know what the plus.
Well, when Jay first approached me about doing this piece, he filled me in all about Sister Blandina and gave me all kinds of information. And as we worked on the piece, he kept thinking about something that he could do for you also. And so he suggested that we do a bust of her and present it to you. So this is what we came up with.
Lucky or what? Thank you so much. This is just beautiful. And it's going to be fun because even though we can't be here to look at Sister Blandina in the garden, we have her bust right here with us. And I love the smile. And I love the determination in her face. And the love in her face, you know, it's a very gentle determination, and that'll be a beautiful model for all of us as we try to follow in her footsteps. Thank you so much. This is just really.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I think you have to draw straws as to who's going to carry it back in the seat. Our final speaker is going to be Bishop Bird. And we're very lucky because the bishop is not only going to give a few words, but after he speaks, he's going to give us a concert. A brief concert.
Thank you, Jay. This is a wonderful day for me to spend a Sunday and see y'all and really work around one of the wonderful things that we have as Catholics, this great panoply of saints and all of the resources and things that the church brings. I think if we could bring people into understanding more what we are about as Catholics, that we couldn't keep the doors closed. I think, this is what the world hungers for. I had to correct a piece of misinformation that I see that I have made in my homily, but I did announce the canonization of Sister Blandina coming up this fall, and it's been called into question, rightly so. I remember that we bishops voted on this, gosh, it's at least a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and now I do understand that more in the procedural thing, which is up into that area of, is it Sister Joan Veneration? Or Venerable?
She's currently servant of God.
Servant of God, yeah. That's the first.
Take the mic for a minute. When we heard you this morning, we thought maybe you had some insight.
I think a couple of people had pointed this out to me. Those of you who know me well realize that this is something I do. I went to the, but what we're trying to do, what's exciting for me, besides the fact that I have been able to get into this book a couple of times, and really, I do highly recommend it. This is a very good read. It's a fast read. it moves quickly. It's not about navel gazing, if you know what I mean. This lady got out there and she got off the mark and she went out there and she didn't wait to get interested in things, whether it was cowboys or sick people or whatever. She got engaged first and then she became interested, this is the true missionary spirit. And we've been working in the diocese for a couple of years now because we are missionary territory still, the Diocese of Pueblo, which reaches all the way over to Durango, Grand Junction, across with Gunnison, and then all parts south into to New Mexico. So looking at building a Jesus culture, the things that we can do to basically reach out and one at a time bring people back to church is very much what we work on. There's no program that can do this. You know what's happening in the world out there. People, 30% of the people really do admit they don't believe in God anymore. And amazingly, out of that 30%, almost all of them say they believe in prayer. Who do you pray to, when you don't believe in God? Well, you can kind of follow that conversation to its logical conclusion and see that people need to have answers. And they need to have answers because faith is what unlocks the reality that makes this life worth living. It makes it something more than planning for retirement and then wondering about what's going to happen after that. So I have been, I'm not going to do a concert, I'm going to play a little piano. Well, I haven't played for a while, but for you, Jay, anything. They asked me when I came here, would I play the piano? I said, when I run out of homilies, I will. So today I sort of ran into the, well, the homily was okay, but I had a little information, so I guess I better play the piano. So I've been working on a few things. I have got a master's degree in music, and I had a wonderful conversation with Linda, who did the musical, what do we call it, musical history piece on Sister Blandina, to see about bringing that into Pueblo and making something that we could do over the year. I was very serious. The inspiration of we, the Diocese of the Little Way, is to look for saints like this. And what a gift that we have her here, planted and growing, still growing in this garden that we have here in these hearts. So our saints right now is, of course, Our Lady of Guadalupe, the Lady of the Flowers, and then, of course, St. Therese of Lisieux, the little flower. And now we have another little flower, and that's Sister Blandina. So we'll be working on promoting this and bringing this into focus for people, because I really believe that if people will pay attention and something will get inside of them, that these stories are stories not just that we share, they're stories that get into us. And this miraculous supernatural power that's given to saints to intercede for us is something that we as Catholics, we really need to grab onto that ourselves. I know that we all pray to St. Anthony, and for me, he's batting 1,000. It's just incredible. Sometimes it takes him a week or two. God has to poke me, a certain way, like, go look at this, But when it comes, I'm very appreciative of the arts piece of the Sisters of Charity. I wasn't aware of that. And the way that Linda brought out the Mozart and the Ave Maria by Schubert, the beautiful music, that Sister Blandina was exposed to as she was growing up in Cincinnati. So I took out this little piece of just a quote out of this book, and where she encounters the music of Trinidad, okay? In our well-to-do churches east, to secure musical harmony, professors and trained singers are engaged. In the congregations of mediocre wealth, best talent give their service. Attend rehearsals and sing when required. Yet in both elements there is constant friction, if not always expressed, a felt dissatisfaction. And it is frequently a subject of annoyance to the Catholic conscience as to whether or not the duty of assisting at Mass is complied with by the choir attendants. Can you imagine that? What are the choir up to today? And so she says, now bring your attention to a close view of the scene in this church. The performers are two gray-haired men, each holding a large violin. The instrument reclines against the left knee, we can only imagine that, which is in position to rise when the signal is given that Mass has begun. The priest begins. The violin players with voice and instrument strike off a half-singing, half-reciting Kyrie, etc. The violins seldom strung to the same pitch. On great piece stage 1, sometimes 2 guitars are added. No two instruments tuned in unison, but who can doubt that every heart beats in harmony with that of the celebrant? You know, when I read this, my heart went out to her because, you know, with my music degree, people think I'm going to be really critical about the music. And I can make the musicians pretty nervous just by asking, you know, what they're doing. But I have found so much of this spirit in southern Colorado. And you go in and we put the music together and how it flows, and I just so appreciate what we have. And I see that she did too. And this really, you know, grabbed me right there. So I'm going to attempt some Brahms waltzes. I haven't tried the piano yet, so I trust Gina. I should have tried it, Gina, before I said that. It looks very nice. I'm going to move it just a little bit farther out. But it was great. Yeah.
It was tuned before you moved it.
I just want to hang it like that. They always say never let them see your face or hear you cuss.
Where's St. Anthony when you need it?
Very nice. Does that seem about loud enough? So these are a couple of Brahms waltzes, all right? They're rather short, but that's what I've got for today. it's good. This is good for me. Thank you for being a good audience. This gets me up a little step at a time. So, Lou?
Yes, sir.
One last thing, Jay's family deserves so much credit, so, that table over there, Mike, Vince, Lori, Jeanette, you guys have been fantastic. I know he doesn't take a step without you knowing what's going on, and they all worked so hard that whatever credit is due, whenever there's credit due, they deserve a great deal of it, so we want to thank you guys. That's the conclusion, unless somebody else has something they want to offer. The only thing we'll do is we want to offer tours of Mount Carmel. So if you haven't seen this facility, you should. Just looking out at the wall out there, the gentleman that did that mural, I watched him do it 5 days using a roller. Nothing but a roller. So it's fantastic. I do have one more story to tell about Jay. And then Jay's lovely wife, Emily, was very much a part of this. And one day after Mass, Joanne and I and Emily and Jay went to breakfast, and we came up here. And you have to understand that the roof was collapsed over there. There was nothing between the two. I mean, there's nothing that existed between the two buildings. And they had a piece of plywood over the door, and the door was locked. So Jay wanted to show us what was going on, so he gets this 2x4 and he starts pounding. And Emily screams at it. They call her St. Emily for a reason. So she screams at it. She says, "Jay, stop it, stop it. They're going to call the cops." And he said, "Let them call the cops. I own this place." Yeah, we got in. And then I remember it just a few days before that, it was a few weeks before that, he said, "Lou, guess what?" And I said, "What, Jay?" He said, "We just bought a church." That really excited me, but I said, "Jay, what are you going to do with it?" "I don't know, but we'll find out." That's how Mount Carmel came into existence. God bless you. If you'd like a tour, please raise your hand. We'll get you a guided tour. You should really see it if you have it. Sister, you're welcome. Okay. Thank you all. And yeah, I was just going to say, you want to give the details about tonight's performance? Thank you.
Well, thank you all for coming and spending your day with us. I mean, we've been at this since this morning, and we're in the middle of the afternoon, and we're very grateful for all the support that we have from all of this community, all of our family, all of our employees, our staff. I mean, we couldn't be more grateful and thankful to be surrounded with such wonderful people. Tonight, the gardens will close, I believe, at 4. Right now, there's different music being played down there for cleaning. And at 6 o'clock or 5:30, we'll reopen. At 6 o'clock, we're going to be joined by Michael and Brendan Fitzgerald to tell stories of what they have learned about Sister Blandina. And as you know, they're working on this movie, right? So that should be very interesting. And so that's at 6 o'clock, and then around 7 o'clock, we're going to be joined by the Captain Reed Band. And Mount Carmel will have a bar set up, beer, wine, soft drinks. Our food trucks and vendors will still be out in the streets. The marketplace will be open, Club 14, so food and drink. It should be a beautiful evening tonight, and we hope to see you all there. Today's been very formal, right, with all of this, but tonight is really chill. So, we're gonna chill. Thank you all. We love having you. Have a good weekend.